Beautiful ignited souls, we are ready for a new creation. Okay, beautiful ignited souls, thank you for joining me, Crime Queen, your partner in crime. Okay, so I have been doing quite a lot on numerology, and if you go way back to perhaps 2017, that's where I am back on numerology through the template of the sacrifice. The sacrifice. Now, this I had started just, if I have to be honest, was more or less like, you know what, I'm about to give up on the Bible. And, part of me was like to perhaps ridicule the whole thing about Easter. But I started this thing, and that's the thing about not having any great expectation of anything, but something was being revealed to me, and a different language was being transcended, if you like. And I was learning so much because my intention at the time was to promote my books on YouTube. And do you know what? It's like Spirit is saying no, because you're all about personal growth and evolution. Continue with this. And of course, I love to share things that I find very beneficial for me, especially when it comes to growth and development. So I'm hoping that my contribution on this channel has been of some use. Now, I'm really hoping so. Yeah, I'm going to emphasize on this. So before I move on, I just want to say the purpose of doing this is hopefully is with the intention. The purpose of doing this is with the intention to just bring out some points of what I have learned or found very useful or discovered in this journey. Obviously, I cannot put in 3 years of learning into one video, but there are some key things, and I'm going to just hold on to, and I'm going with spirit as well. So talking about spirit, because we deal with 14 gods, and do forgive me if I go on a little bit rapidly or quickly than usual, but it's just that I want to give you so much. And of course, you could go at a slower, modify to your pace of listening. So I'm going to call on the said God, the ended God, and the made God. Now, of course, we are talking about 14 gods, which I discovered through this journey, which I am speaking on from 2017. That was of March, I think, of 2017, where I was talking about Easter. Then I realized it's not just Easter, it's meant to be Easter. Then I was listening to the language of sound mind, and I realized that the scriptures is quite witty. So okay. So with the 14 gods, of course, then I realized this was being hinted to me, I should say, from the writings of my book, because that happened when I lost my sixth chapter. Of course, the number six is very significant here because it's the number of creation. So when I did lost my sixth chapter, I still think that it's supposed to be in the computer because I was conscious about saving it. But however, it disappeared, and Spirit was saying, no, no, you need to go back, read Genesis of chapter 1, Genesis of chapter 1. So I think I have been reading Genesis of chapter 1 for about 3 years. I'm not saying it happens every day, but I keep going over the same chapter 1 and 2. I don't seem to have gone much further. Of course, having said that, I do go in segments, but I'm talking about reading, studying, and meditating, and my eyes tend to open to some wisdom. Of course, I did ask for wisdom, and I'll tell you, wisdom has come. Wisdom is the master number, by the way. The master number is that people get excited they have a master number, but the master number requires you to do some serious work. It requires you to have a crucifixion, a sacrifice, and perhaps that's why a lot of people, let's not go into it too much, but this is the season. It's like a season for sacrifice, especially we are moving into the fall or autumn like we say here in the UK. So the autumn, of course, and soon, like trees, like nature, this is what happens. The leaves are falling. So whatever, when we say leaves, and I'm also hearing Eve, this is what we are talking, because this is where we are talking about the fall of man. Eves, the leaves, EVES, although you have ELEAVE, but you get what I'm saying. So it's the spirit of sound mind, because this is also in communication. So the main purpose of my doing this video is that I won't be doing numerology on these teachings for a while, at least for a while. So, two things happen because, of course, I work with the spirit of sound mind and intuition and synchronicity. And I so happen to have gone into my messages, and I saw a message which I don't think I had seen for about 2 years, but I felt that I was meant to see that message then, which more or less was a caution of, perhaps I have to be mindful of how much information I'm giving at the moment, but in my heart I really feel that everything is for sharing. But what I have noticed, even like when I was a fashion designer, for instance, I seem to have gone through different realms, and I would catapult myself into, far distant future, come with fashion or designs, that was just way above, way beyond people's, readiness. That's it. And so I feel that Spirit is really asking me to pause now, concentrate on the course, which is a 5-day course specifically gifted for people who have been sexually molested, traumatized, abused, and so on. And so the course is done. I have done it, but as I say, because I am always listening to my intuition and how the spirit is working through me, and now I feel it is time. They are saying it is time. Now, they are the 14 gods I am speaking on. The gods are actually your slave. So you are the one who have to master these gods working through you. Now, I don't mean that with disrespect. It is everything you do has to be done with reverence. But I found this lovely word, of course, which is in the Bible, and there's a lot that talks about how, a slave and his master and so on, which does not really support the interpretation that in its general sense, because it means that there are people who feel they can just sleep, it's, well, there is the thing about dominating. There is one of the gifts, but the gift here is to dominate the slave. The slave is 13145. This is 10, 13, 14. Where you see this 14 is that, of course, you will have worked into your double, you have done all the numerical, if you like, or mathematical equations. You have lived, oh, they have slaved you, and now you are slaving them, whichever way you want to see it. You have done the multiplication, because you were asked in Genesis of chapter 1, I think it is, but be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, and have dominion. These were the first sets of the gifts that we were given. People have been doing this over each other, but it has to be over. It is all about the 14 gods, how to create, how to set, how to see, how to form. It's about creation. Okay, so and so on. So how to divide and so on. So this is what I love about numerology, because then it gives us a different perspective, or a more empowering perspective of who we are. It gives us some insight to understand our purpose. We are here to create. We are here to more or less turn ourselves inside out and find out our makeup and the expression of who we are. So I love this. So I'm going to just draw on some points because I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this video yet, but basically I want to just highlight the different things, or some at least give you a taster of each aspect of what we have learned or what you can find throughout all the hundreds of videos on this channel, because they're there. Now, I will say that a lot of the videos that I just did videos and just put them on there without even proper titles or having proper keynotes or something, or captions that people can actually find them. But I can tell you, I feel they are very relevant right now. They are. Okay, so you get a bit of the slate now, or this proton, neutron. So while I'm here and I have erased this, I also want to say that the sacrifice template really teaches us that everything in our world evolves around sacrifice, in the sense that even if you wanted to, like I'm doing this, this recording this, for instance, and I would think, oh, but I wanted to do something else. It's a thing about giving up one thing for another. So we always have to make choices. And that is what the sacrifice is about. It's about making choices, killing one for the other. Now, this killing, we see it as in Cain and Abel. We could say with the fall as well, Adam and Eve, because there is a fall as well, because kill might mean a fall. Or you see it with Esau and Jacob, or um, Abraham and his brother Abimelech, or something like this. They're different. They're different. All the brothers, Moses and Aaron. It's always two. We are dealing with two. Now, two, of course, is that seed that can, of course, like planting, again, as I have mentioned in other videos, is that nature teaches us. You put two seeds in the ground, and oh God, put 2 grains of corn in the ground and see what happens. Of course, if you nurture it well in the right environment, you'd have loads. So that's what we are talking about. Okay. So two, also, that means it has a death aspect to it, because we are talking about the ground. As I have said, so you'd have two like this, basically, but of course the ground is here. So the seeds are, we say that the seeds are dying or they're dead until they grow. Now, actually, I was doing something that taught me that the story is so spot on when it says you shall surely die. Because we have not been looking at numerology, we say that this is wrong, but we are dead, because this is why we are the construct of the 14 gods, because we are dead, DADE, and we are meant to use this, the 14 gods, know ourselves. So as I say, I'm just giving bits of what we have, which is 5, 10, 14. The 14 here, another thing that we learn about is the 2 serpents in the garden. That it's not just one serpent, because there were 2 creations. So the 2 creations are actually forming number 7. Now, I have repeated this a lot, and I am repeating it as much because I have not seen anyone giving this teaching, which is based in the Bible. Genesis of chapter 1 and 2. The first 9 gods you will find in Genesis of chapter 1, and then we have the 5 gods, which is the 5 gods that we need to overcome. We need to overcome the gods to bring us into number 5, which is key, and as we say, KEY equals 14. Okay, so we are dead. Perhaps I should really name this that we are dead. Okay, so this we have learned, and with there's 14 on the clock as well. So the two serpents. Now to prove about the two serpents as well, because they are the caduceus. You will see that in many of my videos. So it's Serpent, which is not only seven in value, but it has seven letters, and it has the S, which gives you the indication of the serpent's ability to be supple. It was the most subtle creature or beast. That's what it is. Okay, 517552. Okay, so 10, 20, 25, 32, 33. 32, 34, 34. So 34 is 7. And of course, we had 2. So basically, 2 sevens are 14. This is how we have, you will find, you will see in all the caduceus or pharmacies, they have this as the symbol for the healing. So everything that we have seen in our physical sense is a derivative of our own makeup that is extended. As far as it's extended, because it's like saying, you can't see me, I am going further and to be more magnified so you can see me. That's what the serpents are saying. All right. So another thing that we learn through the sacrifice template, by the way, sacrifice equals 46. I had another thing that came today to me that really showed about the 46 with Jesus and Judas. But however, if it shows up, it shows up. But then that comes to 10. So there's the thing I was saying about Jesus. So this is in my recent videos that 10, of course, is where creation began in Genesis of chapter 1 verse 3 when it was said, let there be light. So we will get onto this later. But 4 is actually the foundation for creation. For the foundation of creation. 46. This is what we are talking about here. When I mentioned Jesus and Judas, in fact, I have come across this mathematical or these equations happening that really gets me thinking, what if we got it wrong all this time, that actually Judas was the one? In fact, I wrote it down because this was just so delicious that I had to write it down. And I thought, what if Judas woke up and say, all right, Jesus, time's up, right? And I think he's going to do that in 2022. And it will bear a new people, because 2022 there's going to be it's going to be, I don't like to open my mouth on things, but it's going to be a tough time. So let us brace ourselves. 2022 or 22, for instance, all the death, the double death vibration, it was like Aaron. Remember, Aaron had also, although having to be the mouthpiece for Moses, but he had to give up of the high priest position. So that's a lot of those things are going to happen in 2022. 20 also is already deaf. So while we are in the 20s, oh my. And so let's go back to this again. So Judas might just wake up and say, all right, Jesus, time's up. It's like taking turns. It's like an election. So the people after the crucifixion, perhaps, of course, because Jesus was preaching, he was traveling, he was doing so much, and he was talking to his disciples, the man of God must give up. The Father has sent me, and he was preaching, and so they would have voted through the two deaths, if you like, and in no matter what way it happened, but that was like a spiritual politics, you could call it. And so there's like the time has come up, and I think that Judas might be seen as the one who really did the true crucifixion or the true sacrifice. I feel there might be something pertaining to that simply because Judas was not like, okay, there was the 30 pieces of silver. We have seen the correlation about the 30 pieces. So if we look at, for instance, Judas, Judas's numerical value of 10, and Jesus, which was 11, this would be 3. Like 30 is 3. Okay, so I'm just saying, all right, let's put it this way. But not only that, is the thing is, Judas had the perfect seed, like masculine and feminine. So that was a perfect seed. This correlates with the first word of creation of the God who said, let there be light. So let actually equals 10, and 10 from the word 10 is also 12, which comes back to 3. I've got to do this quickly. So there's Judas, Judas. He equals, I'm not going to do all these equations here. He is of 5 letters, just like Jesus. And it sounds like they are like twins, like brothers, Jesus, Judas, which could have been mistaken. Who knows? So 10, TEN is 255. This is 12, and of course is 3. Comes back to 3, the word 3 is actually 11. So, of course, Jesus was 11 before, but then this tree has bore, and it is coming. I think it is going to come full swing to show that it's 11. Judas also will have that 11. Okay, so that's my thing. But it just got me thinking, what if we had got it wrong? Now, there is no right and wrong in here. So, because everybody has to do this full circle. So, what if everyone was saying, oh, yeah, he's right, he's right, he's right, and he is wrong? But he is now coming up. He's coming up for air, and these are leaves falling down. So, you get my drift. Okay. My drawing. Okay, so these are things that we learn. So we learn about, of course, the elements. Elements is, I don't think is the right term, but the protons. We see the 666 as in the mark of the beast, for instance. This actually goes in blocks. So if you were to add 1 plus 1 to 3, that would be 6. And then we have 4, 5, 6, that would be 15. So that 1 plus 5 is 6. And then we have 6, 7, 8, 9 would be 24. 2 plus 4 is 6. So here's how we have 6, 6, 6. 3 6 is 18, 1 plus 8 is 9, giving a totality here of whatever. Again, if we did add these numbers, because we are talking about the gift of language, we discovered all of this through numerology and through the Bible. The gift of language, we also did discover that the language, like letters LETTERS, of course the serpent is here, and numbers NUMBERS, the 2 serpents, they right there. It's like the signature. So they both, this is the gift of language we have, but both is 7. 7 plus 7, 14. It's a lot like Trump and Biden. I did this. You can find out more on Trump and Biden, which is 25. Trump is 25 and Biden is 25. That's why they're still fighting, and that's why people are still getting to get the slaves to work. This is it. So nothing is happening by chance. This is the season for all of this here. Okay, so the slaves are the gods. The gods are all slaves, and it's with reverence we say that. Okay, the other thing I wanted to point out, you could see that this is in 3 segments: a sack, a reef, and ice. So this is giving like some kind of coldness. The sack, of course, might have been the 30 pieces of silver in the sack. There was a reef, perhaps between Jesus and Judas, and there was riff all around, but it ended up ice, cold, and of course, this is no wonder when we cry, you could say, our tears are melting because of all the ice that we have bottled up. Okay, so that is giving you a bit of the flavor of what the sacrifice template has offered us. There was one thing that really touched me, and it did kind of almost bleed my heart in the realization of numerology. We know in all of our struggles that we have been fighting, and I'm trying to be mindful because of words. I'm very, very particular about words. So people have been set up to fight against each other, as in black and white. Black and white. The contrast. People, even in this mere exercise, we can see that that contrast gives us a sense of being able to identify the letters which we have been given. Letters, of course, here I have signed in black. And of course, we have the whiteboard. When I was at school, there was the blackboard, and then we had the white chalk, which you can still have, but now it's really the whiteboard. This is what I'm talking about, that we go through cycles, we go through seasons. And when we pay attention to this, which is about time, of course, because time is it's like death, or it's like foundation, or it's like a route, it's like the road, it's anything 20. So when we pay attention to that, we understand the dynamics of the gods, because the gods are constantly in motion, moving, and of course are relying on our anticipation, our judgment, our wisdom, our requests, our behavior of how to do what to do. But when the season comes, like clockwork, if you like, things happen. Because, especially for instance, if you've been procrastinating about something which you should have done in the summer, at the end of the summer, if it is really destined and divine intervention comes in, you might get a hard blow. So, this is why the gods are really wanting us to familiarize ourselves with their characteristics so we can be empowered to have them at our disposal. Isn't that a fact? Okay. All right. Now, I'm not saying that you will get everything right, but the more you familiarize yourself with the said God. So, as I say, I'm talking about words. And that's why I invite the said God here right now. So that gives me a degree of confidence that the said God, which is part of my makeup, is assisting me in the delivery of this video. Okay. So going back to this 666, of course, we know that this is also coinciding with the 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons, which I mentioned earlier. So we covered that. We discovered all of this through the gift of language that we have been given. Now, you might be wondering, why have I got and I'm glad I didn't do the red and blue just as in the US, or for instance. But how is it that actually this should be in black here, NE, so you can get the full flavor of what we are doing here. Okay, and W in blue. Yes, okay. So this is, so basically, WXYZ. Wow, come on, come on, come on. Okay. Black. This is black. It's the other way around. And blue. So the blue letters are the ones we have shifted their positions as in the order of the letters like A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on. Because when I was doing this, I thought there's a way I want to do this and have fun with it. And, just being very relaxed, I was getting one is jazz, and just to have fun, BKT for bucket, because I needed to maintain the same numerical value, of course. So bucket, then I had luck, then I had DVM for development, then we had new. So let's get new, NEW. So then we had new, then we had fox. I didn't have to change this side at all. And this is one of the things that gave me more or less chills when I was doing this. I have many videos that I have done on this. So my older videos, I again might go over them whenever I can, and get the titles in a way that they can pop up. But this here I call Fox, I call Gypsy Journey, Headquarter Zone, and Inland Revenue. Then, as I say, I noticed, because I think I was doing the black and white thing, and then I realized, of course, black or white are functions, just as we have the board here. It is a function. Now, if you watch my last video, for instance, where I speak on Judas and Jesus, and of course, just I can bring this up in the crucifixion. Christians or Christianity place a lot of emphasis just on Jesus. You are not hearing much about the two thieves, because the word thieves actually are telling you they were Eves, like Eve. Okay, now of course, here we have Eves, and then there was Judas. You are not hearing about the great deed that Judas did. There's Jesus having his Last Supper. He's done this ritual. Break the bread, give to his disciples. This is my bread, my flesh. And take of it and remember me, and so on. And then this is my blood. And he has this ritual. And that means there are 13 of them at the table. You see the pics everywhere. And 13, of course, is 9, meaning denoting beginning, because the word beginning also equals 9. Now, if we did 13 as well, this way is also 7, and 2 is equals 9. So 13 equals 9 here. But of course, if we add 1 plus 3, this is 4. The other thing I want to, before I move on, is to show you how 13 was also having the emblem of 4 people. There was 4 death. This is what the story was about. Death, D-E-A-T-H. We have dead, D-E-A-D is 4. I think it's death I needed, but death is 20. So dead is 14, which is 5. So this is because dead, die, dead, death, and there's another one. All have this. It's a process. It's all the process of this ascension. Okay. So let's look at it this way. So we see 1 plus 3, although there were 13 at the table, but they were representing 4. 4 death. 4 people died. The two thieves, Thieves, Jesus, Jesus, and Judas. So Jesus was 11 and Judas was 10, which is 30. Of course, the 30 pieces of silver was not by chance, because the 30 pieces of silver was to match the numerical vibration of the 2 right here. The numerical vibration of what was to happen, because If you watch my videos again, this is what I've said. 3, although it has the numerical value of 11, it has a way of turning this way, turning that way, turning this way, and it forms a beautiful 8-petal flower. This 8-petal flower is another thing we learn in numerology through creation and through the set God. So the set God is the first of the, well, it's the third God that shows up, but this is the third. Again, this is the power of 3 we are talking about. This third God is the God of words, who says, let there be light. And so we have seen with let, we have seen the correlation also matches number 3 here, also having this circle or cycle of completion. It goes into a set which equals 8 here. So that's a set of zeros, set of fours, set of ones. We had sets, so there were 2 sets of people who died in the crucifixion. Could it be that the reason why in the 14 gods of their values, that none of the gods actually have a single value of number 4? Could it be? So here we are going to show here that all these gods here, let's see if I can get a pen out. So, well, I'll just explain. So we have the gods here, but the first 9 gods, and including the other 5, this is V, meaning value. The L is the number of letters. So, but all here, through this value, none of the gods, all the numbers, 1, 2, 3, no 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 appears, but no 4. 4 does not appear, because why? 4 is dead. 4 is dead, just meaning number 13. So, of course, Jesus, this is why they say he carried all the sins and he had all this, because he had the emblem. People, the ritual itself was a way of the disciples ate of him. So he was actually sharing of himself with the disciples. And so that meant the 11 disciples that were left alive still was the representation of Jesus. Hence, he lives forever. Get it? I hope you do. So, I am saying that there were 4 people, of course. The two thieves, Jesus and Judas. And so we see that, or we learn about I call it an agreement, because, and I'm going to explain this more in this black and white, which I'm wanting to talk about. So Jesus, as in B, he has a bucket of wine, basket of bread. In number 2, this is why 2, which is TWO, equals 2, 5, 6 equals 13. This is the 2 that was representing death. This is why I'm saying, why isn't Judas acknowledged here? He's only acknowledged for betraying, being really evil. But I think that was the role he willingly took on. And it seemed like he did this with a sort of robust attitude, and he was just, it's more or less saying, I think Judas, this is what I'm getting, was more or less saying to Jesus, you've been talking, you've been praying, yes, I'm learning from you, I'm doing this. And perhaps he learned a lot from Jesus as well. that he ate, he understood whatever it is, and he thought, you know what, let me show you how to do this. And he went and hanged himself without having any assistant, I think, upside down, where he was able to look up to the heavens and say whatever prayer, whatever it was. What happened with Jesus? There was throngs of people, the spitting, the this, the cursing, and all that, and he was saying, Father, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? When Judas was just done with the whole thing. So I feel that this is going to happen a little bit, because this is the thing that has been happening every time we get like Cain, like the Cain and Abel story, which I kind of like. I did something on that on my videos, but I'm like often wondering, well, as if I didn't really get that one. Okay, but never mind. But we hear again, you hear all the stories of the sacrifice. Abraham ready to, because he wants his land and whatever he has said to God, I am working very hard and what am I, passing this on? But yet still he comes to the place he's ready to sacrifice. It's about the blood again. It's a B word, okay, blood or bread. And so this hair, so we see hair, for instance. B is a real significance or symbol of agreement. No wonder Christ was speaking about brotherhood so much. Brother, it's sometimes it's, brother actually equals 41. So the word brother, they were introducing or calling each other brother and so on. They were actually exercising or reverberating the energy of Mother Eve, which is 14, or the universe, which is 41. So, this is what we had not paid attention to. However, this is the thing about the bee. It's like a bee, like the beehive, working, working, working till that's the slave hair. It's so committed and so much to it. So, B actually is the construct of 1 and 3. Now, here you could see, like for instance, when Jesus gave his disciples, to eat of the bread, drink of the wine, or whatever it is, what is important for us to understand, Jesus, Jesus, whose numerical value was this 11. This is an equal sign. So he was bringing himself equal with his disciples. They were now being equal, and of course, they were shaking hands. So there was the three of them, but the equal sign, he did this and he did this. And that is the B for the bread and the B for the blood. This is how cunning and witty the scriptures are written, and this is why you are asked to have wisdom and meditate and do whatever it is that so you can see this. Okay, so this is the equal sign. There he became equal or he was equal because he was man, flesh and blood like all of them, but that was a ritual. If you and I do this today, that would not be except for the pastors who are ordained to do this. Okay. All right. So we have covered to that extent about Judas and the death and the 44th. So this is why you have 40 days and nights of fasting, or 40 nights of fasting, 40 with Noah, that it flooded for 40 days and 40 nights. Now, excuse me if it was only 40 nights or whatever, but I'm just saying 40. Then we had Moses, of course, fasted about 40, and there was lots of 40s happening. The children of Israel wandered in the desert for 40 days or 40 years. So the 40 actually is that it is, and I got through numerology again, through my this is where I started, through one of my elders that I call presence. I did a numerical value, and presence actually equals 40. So presence is actually commanding or demanding attention. And that's what these teachings are about. That's why we do not have any of the gods. None of the gods are actually present. It's like you have to call on them, you have to ignite them, you have to activate them, you have to, they're your slave. But by you being present, you are doing 40. So this is presence, PRESENCE. I hope I've got this right because it was one of my early videos, but it stayed with me. 551597. Let's look at that. And I count a bit strange. This is 10, 15, 20, 30, 37, 38, 39, 40. Okay, so we get that correct. And that's what it is about being present. So when you hear someone tell you about being present, being present, of course, is like it. You it could take a while. It doesn't matter. It's a state of being, a state of movement, a state of function, a function that is happening in a way that requires it. It actually is. It doesn't seem to have that pleasantness about it, but being present is that, okay, you get it. It's like presence. You could say someone has a lot of presence, yes, but it demands attention. And attention is actually having a tension, whether you enjoy it or not. Okay. So I'm glad. Thank you for that one. Now, what more did we get about sacrifice? Because sacrifice template gave us quite a lot. This is where I'm going to talk about black and white. So after doing this, and I do acknowledge that I'm a little bit, maybe a lot like the serpents, in my up and down, my in and out, but that is, that is what we do. Okay, and that is all about the sacrifice here. So, and I'm doing jazz. Okay, so when we look at the sacrifice template, we notice or realize that the bucket, for instance, that is in black were the letters that we did not have to move to make sense. This is why intuition is one of the best languages of communication with the universe. Then we had